Alright, my name is Brother Mike, and we're recording this video today on the history of cosmology. And right here we have a calendar that was established by the ancient Egyptians and the Greeks. And this calendar explains the sun's rotation around its mother star, and this star is called Ceres or Sothis, or some people call it the dog star. But anyway, this calendar measures a 360-degree rotation at 25,920 years to complete one cycle of the sun's rotation around Ceres. It goes through each house backwards. It goes through Pisces, 2,160 years, Aquarius, Capricorn, so on, until it goes all the way back around to Aries, Pisces. And this calendar is called, once the rotation is complete, this calendar is called the Great Year. Once the sun rotates all the way around, makes a 360-degree rotation, that's called the Great Year. And the Great Year is recorded in Egypt on a couple of temple walls 3 times. So you imagine 3 times 26,000 years. The black people have been on this planet a long time. And so this particular calendar deals with the incarnation of how matter falls down, how spirit falls down into matter. All right, this diagram explains the male-female relationship in matter, and how things from a masculine perspective operates and how things from a feminine perspective operates. Usually when this symbol comes up, it's known in the East as the Zen symbol of yin and yang. But also this symbol comes up after every age that the sun goes through. And you'll notice that at every age you'll have this symbol. And this symbol is like, when the sun passes through this symbol or through this time period, you'll have a mixture of sexual confusion. This could be why we have a lot of homosexual emphasis going on now. But anyway, you see this is the female side of it, and this is the male side, and this deals with solar energy, the masculine, and this deals with the feminine energy, the moon. And also when the sun passes through, this is called a cusp. When the sun passes through here, each Pisces is a feminine sign. Now it's going into Aquarius, a masculine sign. Aquarius is a masculine sign, now going into a feminine sign, Capricorn. Capricorn is a feminine sign, now going into Sagittarius, a masculine. So it's masculine, feminine all the way around. And when the sun passes through this area, you have an influx of a lot of sexual confusion and homosexuality here because of the changing of the energy from one sign to another. So we'll see here in the masculine side, you see this represents serotonin. That's a chemical that comes from the brain. This represents melanin. At night when you go to sleep, your body secretes melanin. That's how you get the color in your body. And so this part of it is the upper part. This is the lower part. You will have sometimes you have hermaphrodites born with both sexes. Sometimes you'll have androgynous beings born. So just keep that in mind, that after every age, after 2,155 years, you're going to have a lot of confusion going through each cusp. This is a diagram of the atom energy and how it works on the temple wall of Kom in Egypt, where they were actually explaining how from nature how the atom works. It expands out 6 times 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the 7th expansion, it stops. And then it jumps. It'll jump from hydrogen to oxygen. Then it'll jump from oxygen. It'll expand in oxygen 6 times, and then it'll jump from oxygen to nitrogen. And these chemical expansions go on for 144 different levels. The atomic expansion is stressed at 6 levels, and on the 7th level, it rests and becomes a different element. So here we see that the ancestors were also very in depth in dealing with even how the atom works, you know, and how it evolves into something else, all the way up to it unfolds 144 times on this dimension. And you have, I think, on the elemental chart, 106 elements now. This calendar here is called a Yuga calendar, and this calendar is established from the Kush Hindu Valley, and this looks at the Milky Way as the center, and this is the outer arm of the Milky Way right here. You have the little teeny dot, the Earth, the other dot, the Sun. Here you have Ceres, and then you have Alcyon. You have the Earth that rotates around Ceres, and then you have Ceres that rotates around Alcyon, and then you have Alcyon that rotates around the center of the Milky Way, which is called the central sun. Now, the interesting thing about this calendar is that it has 4 ages. And these ages are ages from a different time dimension. So this is called the Golden Age. This is the Silver Age. This is the Silver Age. This is the Bronze Age. And this is the Bronze Age. And this is the Iron Age. And the reason they call those different metallic ages is because as the rotation of the outer arm of the Milky Way rotates around the central sun, the blood in the human changes from iron to gold over this rotation of Alcyon around the sun takes 800,000 years. And so at its closest point, you have the Golden Age. At its furthest point, you have the Iron Age. So the Iron Age is dealing with an age of darkness where man is like on the animal stage. Here it goes up, and then it comes back down. These ages last, this age is like 12,000 years. And the perspective of Alcyon making a complete rotation around the central sun is actually 800,000 years. So that's a long, long period. And this calendar is in India today, and it's a very popular calendar because they still can measure this star, which Ceres rotates around Alcyon, and Alcyon rotates around the center of the Milky Way. They still have this charted on in India several times. An elliptic is not a complete round circle; it's a oblong. It's a out of round circle. So at sometimes you're going to be closer to the center, and at sometimes you're going to be further away from the center. This is called the Golden Age. And the fascinating thing about that is that man's blood at this time has a lot of gold in it. Has a lot of gold in it at this time. So that's why they named each one of these ages after the metallic element. All right, here we are again at the elliptic orbit. Okay, so we see here that when you're in the Golden Age, you're the closest to the center. You know, man's consciousness is at like a God level. The sciences and all of this is nothing to him. He's very, very advanced in the physical body, and his blood is depleted with gold. It has a lot of gold in it. By the time you get all the way back around here, which is another 400,000, another 500,000 years, that this Alcyon rotates around the center of the Milky Way. Now, this is where we are in now, right here. This is where the Earth, the Sun, Ceres, and Alcyon is at right now. It's coming out of the Iron Age into the Bronze Age. And this, the Hindus call this the Age of Kali, or the Age of Darkness. And we can account for how dark things are now. And so, right here, we're leaving out of this age into here as of 2050, we should be entering, or the Mayans said 2012, but from 2012 all the way up, we exiting the Iron Age into the Bronze Age. Okay, this age here, the consciousness rises a lot, and you'll get a lot of copper in the blood. You're going to get a lot of copper. The blood changes. It's going to change. You're going to get a lot of copper in it. So the pathway of the elliptic, once again, when you're closer, you're more conscious. When you're further away, you're on the animal level. The man is at the lowest. The blood has a lot of iron. He's very, very, his consciousness is real low. He's on the animal level. So we can confirm that just going through the Hindu calendar, that a lot of this in relationship to the Egyptian Greek calendar is, even though it's a different dimension, this information is prevalent because even though the time cycle is much longer, we can see based on the scripture and a lot of other things how a lot of stuff took place, because now we understand that we have certain abilities that come as time rotates. You see in the dynasty of Ramesses, all of your kings were named. You had Ramesses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lot of them were considered as messianic kings. So Ramesses the first, second, you had Seti I the first, second, and then you had the Age of Aries, where everything was dealing with the sheep horns and the horns of Aries. Then we get into how the Egyptians went into the Age of Taurus, the Age of the masculine. This is when the big temples were built. All of the gigantic pyramids were built under the Age of Taurus, where this is the science that we can't understand today, how they built. And then it left out of the Age of Taurus into the Age of Gemini, the twins, good and evil, the left and right hemisphere of the brain. Then it goes down into Cancer, where the intellect of writing and the scarab beetle, which was a real big symbol in Egypt at that time, that represents the dung and how the beetle pushed it around and laid its larvae in the dung. And Cancer represents intellect. And so this is when the sun, a lot of your writing and scriptures and associated divine writings were done. We see how everybody knows the Sphinx in Egypt, and when everybody was dealing with the animal nature in man and the higher conscious, the human head represents the higher conscious and the animal body represents the lower conscious. We go down to the age of Virgo, when this feminine energy, divinity on the feminine half of nurturing and so forth. This was really one age. Virgo actually represented Libra and Scorpio, but the Greeks came along and they cut it up into 3 different ages. So, this is also represents Ma'at, which gives the laws of justice and truth, that you are judged by the feather of truth, and your heart is weighed on the scales before you meet Osiris in the underworld and so forth. And this is Amen with the laws of the 42 laws of Ma'at on his head. And then you leave the house of Libra down into Scorpio, where you're represented by the combative king, Haru, and mostly dealing with a war. We were explaining how the sun goes through each house 2,150 years, and how during these periods the Egyptians recorded each house. They recorded the sun's rotation through each house. And here is the symbol of Sagittarius, which is very complementary of Scorpio. It's a very combative age, and it's the age of whenever you see the horse in a man's body, that's the power in man. That represents the power in man. And they showed it on a lot of temple walls. The archer and or the centurion, or the horsepower in man. Then we left there. We go into the house of Capricorn, and this is dealing with the lower ram of the body, and this is dealing with when Osiris sits at the gate of hell so suddenly to judge the deeds that man has done. And so this sign is a representation of one of the most powerful signs in the zodiac, but it also is one of the most represents the lower ram in man. The sun is in Aquarius, and once again, this represents this is a water house, and this represents a different type of how can we say, it represents a feminine but yet masculine energy, because you see the symbol is a man, and it's a hermaphrodite type of image, and that represents that little yin and yang circle I put up there. But this area is also deals with is a masculine area. They consider it a masculine area, but it's also it has a feminine side to it also. And the sun goes into Pisces again, dealing with the Messianic King, or the Pope, or whatever you want to call it, Jesus Christ, so forth. And we're in Pisces now. We're exiting Pisces, going into this sign. It spins backwards and stuff. Okay. I just wanted to point out that each Egyptian house and how they recorded the sun going through each house is basically a representation of their understanding of cosmology and the science of it. And we can't look at that shortly, because we have to understand this. When they say Egypt and Egyptologists, they're talking about our history, and mostly the black people that were on the planet. And this is a real ancient history, because they usurped it and took it, and they tried to insert themselves into it, but they weren't around at that particular time. So we just want to point out this stuff to sort of clarify history and let the public know that 200,000 years ago we did not climb out no trees in Africa and hunting berries and stuff. We were doing science, building pyramids, building calendars that took hundreds of thousands of years to do. And so we not know Johnny-come-lately people that had been around 200,000 years. So they say Lucy was discovered in Africa 2.5 million years ago. We've been around way longer than that. And so just to be able to chart the sun and to do this, you would have to know that you've been, this is a historical reference to how long you have been around. And so with that, we want to end it and give thanks to Brother Ernie for being able to put this together.